Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing you another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the McFarlane DC Multiverse Black Adam Cyclone figure. This is Cyclone from the upcoming Black Adam film. I ordered this figure from figureneforall.com. They had it a little bit early, but they're also available at the McFarlane toy store in stock right now. So let's go and check out the packaging. As you can see, DC Multiverse Black Adam Cyclone, 22 moving parts, McFarlane Toys, ages 12 plus. Here she is in the package. Looks like she has this little cyclone tornado effect. She also has a display stand and a collector's card. One side of the package, Cyclone from Black Adam. Other side simply says Cyclone. At the bottom, got a bunch of credits, and there is a barcode, in case that helps anybody. And on the back side, here she is posed up. So no further ado, let's open her up. Alright, now that we got this figure out of the package, here she is with all of her accessories laid out. She does come with a display stand, a collector's card, and that little small tornado or cyclone. Now I must say, this is one character I was not familiar with from the film. I never heard of Cyclone. I had to look her up. And Wikipedia told me she was the granddaughter of the original Red Tornado. I don't really understand how that's possible. I thought he was a robot. She possesses wind manipulation. She can make little tornadoes or cyclones. So a pretty obscure DC character, and I know my DC stuff pretty well. Cyclone is played by Quintessa Swindell, an actress I'm not really familiar with. So let's take a look at her. Start with her head here. She's done pretty light-skinned. Her hair is kind of brown, maybe a little bit orange. Big. You know, sculpting's not bad. Not great, not bad. She's got two little twists at the front there. Likeness seems okay. Like I said, I'm not really familiar with the actress. I did Google some stuff. Her outfit here, for one of the first things I noticed, she's got one glove, one non-glove, double jointed elbows. Pants have pretty nice texture on them, double jointed knees. I mean, she almost can pass as just a regular person, and that's kind of appealing to me. Overall, just seems kind of basic, doesn't seem to do too much for me. And here's a closer look at her face and head sculpt. It's really not bad. When I say she's just a little bit bland, it's not to say this is a bad figure, but just to say how much better everything else is. So I'm not trying to shit all over this figure, but I've had this for at least a month now, and I'd say she's definitely my bottom 5 McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Once again, that's not really to say it's a bad figure, but a testament to how great everything else is. The figure's just very basic, doesn't do much for me. Look at her just like, blah. I'm very happy to add her to the collection. I want the entire team of JSA members. We haven't actually seen her in any of the trailers, besides a brief glimpse of her powers, so we don't really know how cool she's going to be in the role. I imagine her role is also very small. No way she has a bigger role than Dr. Fate, Hawkman, or Atom Smasher. All that being said, it's a character that doesn't do much for me. She's probably going to have a very small role, and the figure doesn't really do much for me either. Happy to have her, but it's one of those. Could definitely do without her. Now let's take a look at her accessories, and let's start off with the boring stuff. Here's her display stand. Typical McFarlane stand. Black perfect circle. It says DC on the bottom. It's got one peg for the peg holes on her feet. It's very thin, very basic. Here's her collector's card. As you can see, it's an image of Cyclone. It's a drawn art image of her. Kind of odd, as it's not the figure or a still from the movie. Cyclone from Black Adam. On the back side, there is a description. If you want to read that, go ahead and pause now. Now let's check out her Cyclone. Pretty small, flat at the bottom, going to be easy to stand up. It's got a little sort of oval here she can stand in. It does have one peg for feet down there. I mean, it's cool for what it is. I guess this will be her starting off, getting a cyclone or tornado going. At least you can have some sort of action accessory for her. And then promotional material for the figure. This is how they showed her using the accessory. I think we can do a little better. Or maybe like this. Maybe on her knee like this. Really having trouble getting this to look good. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and her accessories, now let's check out her height. From bottom to the top of her head, she's standing at about 6.9 inches tall, which can translate to about 17.5 centimeters. Now let's check out her articulation. Starting with her head here, of course, it can rotate from side to side. She can't look down enough, her hair can actually get over her shoulder. Sort of tilt her head a little bit from side to side. It's kind of loose, it's very sort of heavy. Shoulders on ball joint goes a little bit less than 90 degrees. Ruffled areas obscuring the articulation. Up, down, around, all that good stuff. She does have that butterfly joint between her shoulder and chest area, but you can barely see it in there. Increases the range of motion and supposed to cover up that gap, although this one's not quite doing the job. Bicep cut below that. Double jointed elbows, they go all the way in. Her wrist can rotate, and it's going to be hinged as well. Now she's got the soft goods overlay, and I'm not really a big fan of those things. They look good, but they really hinder the majority of the articulation. So let's move it around a little bit. So she definitely has ball joint in her waist. Rotate around, forward and back, no problem there. I believe she has another ball joint in her torso. Definitely go forward and back, rotate around. But the soft goods overlay does fight you on that. Hers is not as bad as some of the previous ones. She's just not really going to hold most of those poses. She does have 2 points here, but I'm really going to get much more out of this one. Legs, complete dose of splits. Not a ball joint, but a similar type concept. Rotation non-existent. Legs go forward that far. Back, not much. Double jointed knees. Then our ankle here. Forward and back. Rotate. Tilt. Rock. And to articulation. Will be noted their ankles are done the new style, not the ugly ball joints. A lot more seamless. Here's the Justice Society of America meeting up. They're discussing the Black Adam situation. Enter Black Adam. He arrives in the city streets. And here's the JSA, ready for action. All pulling out their weapons, ready to go. I imagine in the movie when they first find Black Adam, it's going to lead to a big battle. And then, by the end of the movie, they will have joined forces to save the world. They'll presumably be teaming up to take on Sabbac, save the world in Kandak. A closer look at Sabbac taking on the JSA. And during that fight, Cyclone heads up in the skies, makes a tornado, and attacks Sabbac. Now let's check her out next to some of their action figures, starting off with some of their McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here she is, next to both versions of the movie Black Adam, the start of the show. Then, with the other members of the Justice Society of America, the JSA, here she is, next to the two Black Adam mega figures, Atom Smasher and Sabbac. And here she is, next to the entire Black Adam movie wave. There's still at least one more figure coming out. I've seen pictures of Black Adam with a throne. Not sure where that's going to be exclusive to, but looking forward to completing the collection. And since we're on the subject, here she is, next to a couple of other Black Adam figures. Now, Black Adam is part of the DC Cinematic Universe. It's a shared universe with a bunch of DC films, starting with Man of Steel. The most recent film they made figures from is The Suicide Squad. Here's Cyclone, next to the figures from The Suicide Squad. Since they exist in the same shared cinematic universe, you could potentially see these characters interact with each other in the future. Before that, they made figures from Zack Snyder's Justice League. It was also part of the DC Cinematic Universe. Before Zack Snyder's Justice League, Birds of Prey was a previous DC Cinematic Universe film, and McFarlane made one figure from this. The movie in the DC Cinematic Universe McFarlane first made figures from was Wonder Woman 1984. Here are those figures. Now, the DC Cinematic Universe is not the only live-action DC property McFarlane has made figures from. Here's Cyclone, next to all of the Batman figures McFarlane made. The Batman is a live-action DC film that is completely unrelated to the DC Cinematic Universe. McFarlane also made figures from CW's Arrowverse. Here she is, next to Green Arrow and The Flash. The CW Arrowverse is also unrelated to the DC Cinematic Universe. Here are all the different female figures McFarlane has made in their DC Multiverse line. They say he doesn't make any female characters. Sure, he doesn't make nearly as many as the male characters, but there have been quite a few. 27 different figures in front of you. We have Carrie Kelly, Dawnbreaker, Batman Beyond's Batwoman, Inc., Superwoman, Batgirl, Harley Quinn, Catwoman from the Batman, Wonder Woman, and Cyclone. The next one I'm aware of coming out is going to be the Arkham City Catwoman. So it's not that this is a horrible figure, but she's just plain average. Most McFarlane figures are well above average. I kind of lump her with these other 4 figures, my bottom McFarlane figures, and I'm not counting the platinum unpainted Arctic Crew figures. Those ones are my least favorite of all. I get them because I'm a completist, but they don't really bring me any joy. I will say, she is the best of these 4 figures though. Now let's check her out. Next to some other recently released McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here she is, next to the 2 newest Mega figures, Bane and Necron. Here she is, next to the Speeding Bullets Batman and Patrocitus. And here, next to the Blue Beetle and Booster Gold 2-pack. Then, next to the Walmart exclusive Gold Label Azrael Batman Armor and Parallax Hal Jordan. Here's Cyclone, next to the Infinite Frontier Scarecrow and the Court of Owl's Talon. And here she is, next to the Future State Superman and the New 52 Static. Then, next to the McFarlane Toy Store exclusive Gold Label paint variants of the Arkham Knight Scarecrow and Red Hood. And now, here she is with the first wave of Page Punchers, still trying to track down the black and white Black Adam. Here's Cyclone, next to Blackest Nightwave, Collective Build Atrocitus. And here she is, next to Martian Manhunter, both Classic and Rebirth. And here, next to the Target exclusive Crime Syndicate, Ultraman, Superwoman, and Owlman. Then, next to all 3 versions of Lex Luthor in his power suit. And now, next to both versions of the Dark Detective Future State Batman. Here's Cyclone, next to Duke Thomas from Tales of the Dark Multiverse, and the Batman Who Laughs, dressed as Batman. And finally, here she is, next to both versions of the Zernar Batman, and all 3 variations of the Infinite Frontier Robin. Here's Cyclone, next to Mattel DC Universe Classics Red Tornado. Red Tornado and Cyclone have similar powers. Can make cyclones, control the winds, make tornadoes. Red Tornado may or may not be her grandfather, which doesn't really make sense to me. Now let's check her out, next to some action figures from different various companies, to see how she fits in both scale and style-wise, in case you want to know which lines you can mix her with. Since she's a McFarlane figure, they're typically the 7-inch scale. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the large action figure lines that I collect, and work my way smaller. But first, let's check her out with some of her McFarlane Toys brothers and sisters. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines, all from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch scale. Then, next to some more McFarlane Toys. These are from different various video game properties. And now, next to some Jack-specific wrestling figures. And here she is, with some DST, or Diamond Select toys. Then, next to some DC Direct and DC Collectibles figures. And here she is, standing next to some NECA figures. Then, with some Mattel wrestling figures. And now, with some Jazzwares AEW wrestlers. And here she is, next to some Mezco 112 collective figures. Then, next to some DC Universe Classics and Multiverse figures. And here she is, with some Mafex figures. Then, with some Hasbro Marvel Legends. And here she is, next to some SH Figure Arts action figures. And finally, here she is, next to some SH Figure Arts action figures. So overall, she's just an average figure. Her head is way too back heavy. Her hair is big and bulky, and it hinders the articulation. The ruffles on her shoulders also hinder the articulation. The soft goods overlay also hinders the articulation. Beyond that, it seems like a very minor character, an average character, and they counter that by making just an average figure. Sculpt and paint job, they're okay, nothing really special there. Her accessory, honestly, that tornado's not that good either. Articulation, it's quite limited. If I had to rate this figure, I'm going to give her a 5 out of 10. Definitely one of the lower rated McFarlane figures that I've gotten. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say with the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. and I will talk to you guys real soon.